PowerPoint? My desktop?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks for everybody for joining. I appreciate your flexibility. I had to bump the schedule a little bit, so we're going to be jumping into the 6-week session next week. Today's session is a bonus session I wanted to add for everybody, and wanted to talk a little bit about, passion, getting into action. Hey, Christine, could you mute your phone for me, please? And so these are some of the things I picked up on really getting into action. So as we start to take this course and shifting our financial identity so we can increase our income and really make more and really take advantage of our capacity, this session here is a good way to get started. We're going to have a few homework assignments after each session, so if you want to do those, that will be great. It'll help you conditioning, because while we're working on building some skills, we're also really focusing on shifting your psychology, because the psychology is the part that can hold you back. So if you have a great plan and a great skill set and you're still not getting the results that you really want, it's probably part of your psychology that has a conflict. And that's okay, because everybody has those. Nobody consciously chooses to program their subconscious, and our subconscious is kind of programmed by our environment, our parents, growing up, where we went to school, the work we do. And with the strategies we're going to be doing over the next 7 weeks are really going to help you shift that so that you can build the psychology that you want to get the results. You've got to. Hey, I wanted to start out with asking a question. Are you currently living the life that you're meant to? I think it's a good question to ask because I think everybody knows we have more potential. And my objective and my intention here is to help you unleash that potential and own it so you can take the action and get the results that you want. So one thing that happens with people quite a bit is we get on autopilot, So if we're not living the life that we're meant to, we need to take some different actions. And the results that you have in your life today, the things you have in today, your relationships, your financial success, wherever it may be, are the result of the actions you've been taking. So what we want to look at is shifting those actions so that you really get the results you want. And we run patterns constantly. We run patterns because we're bombarded with so much information. It's how our makeup is done. So what we want to do is take the system off cruise control and really start to direct it in the way we want. So my intention today is really to and inspire you to get excited, to have fun, be brave, be courageous, and really be committed to getting the life you want and the results you want. And the first step is just taking action. And what we're really talking about is getting comfortable outside comfort zone. We all have comfort zones, and the thing about comfort zones is, they're comfortable, right? But if we're not growing, it's because we generally need to get outside our comfort zones. And the reason it's our comfort zone is because it's comfortable. But to do things differently, to take different actions, to take different measures and think differently, you have to step outside that comfort zone to really move forward. And that's kind of the first step there. So my goal is to help you get comfortable outside your comfort zone and give you some strategies and help you understand that getting outside your comfort zone really isn't as scary or fearful as it can as it can feel. Because when you're outside the comfort zone, that's where the magic happens, and that's where the magic happens. So I would really encourage you that when you're starting to take different actions, and some of the questions are going to make you think, and when you hear some of these questions, you may feel some emotions coming up. So kind of increase your sensory acuity to the emotions you're feeling, because your emotions are a great indicator of what you're doing. Is it right or is it wrong? Should I do it or is it not? And sometimes if you're something that's coming up right away, it may feel fearful or scary or different, but the reality is it's kind of our old patterns that are coming up, and taking action and getting different results is really not that scary of a thing. So what I would encourage you to do is to commit to pushing yourself to get outside your comfort zone so you can really start to shift the patterns that you've been living in your life to get results at a higher level, to get happier, more success, more love, everything that you want in your life you can have. And find comfort in the things that you know will always be there. I know that I'm always going to be taking action, and I know that I'm going to be determined to get to the next level. And being in the Tony Robbins world and working for Tony Robbins is really kind of a life in the outside the comfort zone. So I'm finding comfort in my action and my determination and myself, and really finding comfort in being the best version of me, And regardless of what's in front of me, I'm going to hit it head on and I'm going to go right through it. You know, if it's scary, I'm going to keep going. So find comfort in the things that are always there. That'll kind of help you a bit. And what that really means is do your best, never give up, and always go for it. You know, because we've got opportunities in front of us, and a lot of times we don't take advantage of them. And do your best is do your best on the day that it is, you know, because your best is different on different days. So like, for example, let's say there is a Olympic marathon runner, and that marathon runner can run a mile in 4 minutes. And that marathon runner goes out tomorrow and runs a 10-minute mile, and it's really easy. You know, may not be his best, but he could do that and have a 10-minute time. Now, let's say the next day that runner sprains his ankle, and then on the following day he goes to run a mile, and he puts in every ounce of effort, but he only does it in 25 minutes. So you can see that your best is different on every day, and you need to make sure that you're acknowledging yourself for your best effort and really going for it, because if we get into a cycle of where we're beating ourselves up because we're not at the results, we get into a cycle where we're not happy and our results are down, and, you know, so the real key here is to be happy in what you're doing, give yourself praise, give yourself acknowledgement for doing your best. And whatever your best is that day, be proud and do the best you can every day. One of the quotes that my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs is this one right here, and I don't know if any of you have seen that, but it's, remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There's no reason not to follow your heart. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people will get stuck in this mode of trying to be perfect and fearing failure. And when that happens, you literally freeze in your steps, unable to take action. So, you know, if you think about it, you know, the first idea was from a Les Brown talk like 20 years ago. And I remember Les Brown saying, you know, you guys are not going to get out alive, right? We know that we are mortal. We've got a limited amount of time here. And, you know, if we're not paying attention, we may run into patterns and being afraid of taking action. And we shouldn't be afraid of taking new action. We shouldn't be afraid of work. We shouldn't be afraid of talking to new customers or doing things that are new. But that's the way we're wired. So, you know, break through that a little bit. And here's an example right here. So I'm 39 years old. If I live to be 100 years old, that will mean I have about 22,265 days left in my life. And when I think about it that way, I'm just like, my fear over taking action and doing new things just disappears completely. So put some thought into that, what you'll do. Because the truth is there's no glory in playing small. You know, we didn't come on this earth to play small. We're here to do things, and we can move mountains if we choose to. And playing big is not that difficult. It's really persistence, courage to try new things, and courage to not be afraid to fail, because when we fail, we learn how to change things. We learn a way that didn't work and try another one. But if we're not failing, we're not taking action. You know, I've heard a quote that says, the road to success is lined with massive failure. So playing big, number one, persistence, courage to try new things and get outside your comfort zone, and 3, take consistent effort. That really pays off over time. So it's really simple to play big. Consistent, focused effort over time. And an example of that is, let's say today you start doing something new outside your comfort zone. Maybe it's conditioning. One of the exercises I'm going to give you about conditioning your subconscious, focus on improving something area in your life. If you focus for 15 minutes per every weekday, you're going to get 65 hours per year of focus. If you actually practice for 30 minutes, that's 16 days per year of focus in that area. And if you actually focus for an hour per day every single weekday on this new area, on growing, trying something new, that's a full month per year. And over time, it really pays off. So again, figure out where you're going and just take action. A little action every day really pays off. So my personal definition of playing big is playing full out, living life on my terms, living the life the way I want to, and never settling for anything less than I deserve. Living without regret, being happy, loving yourself, because we were born perfect. We don't have to do anything to be perfect. A lot of people get in a trap where they have to associate their happiness with results or money or relationships. And the reality is you were born, look at a little baby. Baby's perfect, full of love. We actually learn over time how to not love ourselves and beat ourselves up. So really, being happy and loving yourself along, because this is a journey, we're never going to get there, will make things easier. And really, my definition of playing big is living in a way that is in alignment with who you really are and what you believe. So here's a question for you. How do you define playing big? Where in your life are you playing big today? And have you been playing big? And playing full out? And where in your life have you been playing small? Less than your potential, not in alignment with who you are, not getting the things you want, having regret. So putting some thought into these will really help you understand where those areas are to go after. So here I'm going to share with you the secret to getting everything you've ever wanted. It's very simple, actually. So the secret to getting everything you've ever wanted is, number one, know what it is that you want. Be clear on that. Most people have no clue what they want. So when you don't know where your best is, you have no idea what road to get there. The next step after you figure out what it is you actually want, I want to earn $100,000 a month. I want to have 20 listings a month. I want to be married. I want to have kids. I want to buy a house. I want to do this. The second part is the why behind it, because the why is the powerful part, because the why is where the drive comes from. Well, I want to have more financial abundance so I can have, my children can grow up in a better lifestyle and go to be, I don't want to live in my children's experience based on my lack of finances. And I want them to go to schools and have experience life they best want to be. And when you start with your purpose, it's always a good idea to start with a purpose for yourself. I want this because it will give me this. It will make me feel this. I will do this. And then spiral outward. Like, okay, well, I want this for me. I want this for my wife. I want this for my children, my friends, my coworkers, my students, the people I talk to, and then the whole world around. And as you do that, you can really build a powerful purpose so that when you're taking action day over day and the results haven't come in yet, because there is a lag time between action and getting the results. When you stay connected to your purpose, you're going to have that drive and consistently going. So number one, know what it is you want. Number two, know why you want it. Number three, take massive action and consistent action. Every day I'm going to keep focusing on this. Boom, 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 boom. Number four is really important. Check to see if it's working. And a lot of people get stuck doing goals every December 31st, and then a year comes by, they haven't checked where they're going, and they have no idea if they hit there. They're way off. Like when pilots are flying an airplane, they're constantly making corrections so that the plane gets on target. If they just flew for an hour and didn't pay attention, they would be completely off course. So checking in to see if it's working will let you know if the actions you're taking are working, so you may need to change your approach. This is a simple process right here. If you follow this, you can really keep moving and find everything you need in life and actually bring it into your experience. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So, and the truth is, we've all seen this 80-20 rule. And the truth in life and results is really 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. Now, it feels like it's 80% or 90% mechanics or action, but the reality is 80% psychology. If you shift your psychology, I am a person who earns this much money, and you're not earning that much money, you will immediately figure out how to do it quickly. And when you don't have the psychology clear, then you kind of have trouble with the mechanics, because the psychology is going to help you take the right action so you get the right results. So let's talk now about psychology. So we are creatures of habit, and it's really a survival mechanism that has happened because of the amount of information that we're bombarded with, just constant information. We have to run patterns. If we thought about every single piece of input we'd have, we'd go crazy. So we must run patterns. The challenge with patterns, though, is if we're not careful, we can go a year, or 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and we're running the same exact patterns and feeling the same emotions on a daily basis and not really shifting how our life feels, the feeling, or the results we're getting. So we have to have some sensory acuity to know that what we're doing isn't working, and I want to shift those patterns. And patterns, you can also call those rituals or habits. And the reality is they are easy to change. The first part is deciding and acknowledging that you have a pattern that you want to change. Number two, focus on it with consistency and persistence, and you will change that pattern. You can change a pattern in a day. You can change it in a week. And in less than 30 days, you will have a new pattern, and that will be your new baseline. So a few tips just to throw in here on how to stand out and start to shift your patterns. Some of the most successful people in the world get up at 4 or 5 every day. So get up earlier, create a morning routine. When I wake up first thing in the morning, I breathe, I jump around a little bit, I get on my rebounder, I connect with my body, I thank it for carrying me around all the time. I think about my family, I think about emotions of love and appreciation and gratitude, and it kind of sets me forward. Some questions that are really powerful. What can I do today to serve my clients and have a great time? What can I do this week to touch even more people and have a great time doing it? So by asking some better questions, you're actually going to get better results. And then also have fun and take breaks. Most of us are in the habits of sitting at our desk and working all day long. And the problem with working all day long is our attention and our ability to focus is based on our energy levels. So think of it as you have a pool of focus and attention, and when that is depleted, your ability to focus decreases. So if you sat at your desk and you worked for 3 or 4 hours before, after 3 hours, productivity goes way down because our ability to focus decreases. If you find that in the middle of your day, you're constantly going into distraction and you're surfing the web or doing Facebook or something like that, what's happening is if you're not taking the breaks that your mind needs, your mind is going to take them anyway. So if you're proactive with that, every 2 hours I take a 10-minute break, come back refreshed, and every 4 hours I take at least 30 to 40 away from everything. And that will help you stay more focused, and that will replenish you so that even though you may be putting in less time during the day, you're actually going to get a lot more done. Does anybody have any questions so far? No questions. Cool. Okay, so jump that slide. So I want to talk next about potential. So what is potential? The definition of potential is having or showing the capacity to develop into something in the future. So let me ask you this question. What is your potential? Are you living up to that potential, your capacity? When was the last time you had great potential? Did you have an opportunity? Did you take advantage of it? And I want to tell you that you have more potential right now than in any other time in your life. And we've seen people out there do things that are made, and they basically become heroes for doing stuff like that. And the difference is heart and courage. So go after what you want is the whole point here. Just go for it. You've got nothing to lose, nothing to lose. You've got that potential because you've got the most life experience, the most education, the most skills that you've had at any other time in your life. Now is the time you can take massive action and get awesome results. So when I ask you to think about taking massive action, lots of action in this new direction, whether it's cold calling or talking to new people or writing or blogging or communicating or meeting with people, what is coming up inside? When you think about taking action at a higher level, what is coming up inside your body? Are you feeling excitement? Are you feeling fear? Are you feeling uncertainty? Are you feeling doubt? What is that emotion that's coming up? And sometimes that could be, and I'm reaching the edge of my comfort zone, and it's time to take action. So just be aware of that. And when that comes up, just acknowledge it. If it's not an empowering emotion, just acknowledge it. Say, okay, that's an old pattern that is coming up that isn't valid anymore because I'm going to do something different. Does anybody have any examples of what comes up when you think about taking massive action? Anybody? Should I start calling names? Somebody pipe in.
Definitely fear.
I'm sorry, who's this?
Francis?
Francis, yeah. So what comes up when you think about that? Were you going to say something, Francis? Definitely fear?
Yeah.
Fear? Okay. Anybody else? What about you, Benson, since I know you're there? I'm just going to call around.
Jason, for me, I think when I think about taking massive action,
the things that hold me back are thoughts of, oh, I don't have enough time, or I'm too busy doing what I have to do to get by to take massive action in the direction that I wanted to achieve my dreams. I think those are the types of thoughts that come up that hold me back.
Okay, good. Hey, Francis, if you could mute again, that would be great. What about Charlene?
I'm really good with taking a lot of action with certain things, and there are a couple things that when the thoughts of those come up, I feel it like putting the brakes on, and it's because I've never done it in certain instances, and that's the one thing. But I do know that as soon as I do it, I'll get past it like I've done with everything else.
Okay, good. What about Jenna?
I was just going to say I just always worry about how am I going to make it happen. There's a little bit of fear in there too, but like how is it all going to work out if I do what I really want to do?
Okay, good. Hey, Francis, could you mute yourself, please, with that microphone button again? There's a little bit of feedback coming. Thank you. Who else is on there? What about Truda? Anything come up for you?
I would say uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Okay. What about Sterl?
Right now, I feel I'm too leaned back in my sofa, so I'm like, oh, come on. But I know the pattern, so I'm trying to always break it. So it's more a question of breaking a pattern I already know exists, and knowing also that going outside my comfort zone will actually sharpen my senses and make life more interesting. So I just need to remind myself good feelings I'll have when I break and actually take massive action and reap the rewards, if you like.
Yeah, good feedback. And does anybody else have anything? I saw, Christine, you said doubt that comes in. And Francis, would you mind muting yourself again? I think we're getting a little feedback from you.
Yeah, I said it was most fear I felt and uncertainty.
Okay. Okay, that's good. And, you know, sometimes we need to be aware because there's also stories, right? So, you know, we basically tell ourselves stories all the time, and they're very powerful. And that story could be, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm smart, I'm not smart, I'm good at this, I'm not good at that. And when this stuff comes up, it's like, okay, I don't have enough time, or I have some doubt, and, you know, that's okay. And what you need to do is really just acknowledge it, you know, because that's, if it's fear, it's false evidence appearing real, right? Because you're not in danger, you're not in physical danger of making these decisions, right? And the thing is, we are wired that way. Our physiological or biology is that way because we needed survival mechanisms so we would grow up. We needed those when we were being chased by wild animals, but we don't need those anymore. When it comes up, just kind of like, you know, shake your body a little bit and go, okay, I acknowledge that. There's an old pattern, and I'm just going to let that go. So it's really just, you know, give yourself certainty. It's like, hey, there's an old pattern, but go back to what it is you want, and then the why. Because when you go back to the why, that's where the power comes from. Well, this may feel a little scary, but I know I need to do this because I'm tired of being in financial stress. And the other thing is, if you can connect it to other people, we will always do more for other people than we will do for ourselves. So if I say, oh, Jason, you need to get up early tomorrow to get this done, and I feel like sleeping, I'm like, oh, just sleep. Then I think, well, my children are counting on me, I'll get up and do it. So identifying a higher level purpose behind you will help you push through that. So the awareness of that is great. Good job. Just be aware, and you know that it's just an old pattern, and we can change that. So if you're really feeling resistance, you know, it is probably fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of standing out. I know I felt a lot of those in my life, and they're beliefs and wiring in your subconscious that are just old patterns that aren't really real. So the cure for them is action, and the cure for them is gratitude. So when you're feeling those fears come up, think about gratitude. You know, what can I be grateful for right now? Well, I'm thinking about taking massive action. I can be grateful that I have the health to take this action. I can be grateful for my family and friends in my life. I can be grateful for the opportunity to take this because all of us on the calls, you know, probably don't have it that hard compared to some other people in the world. And gratitude really is the cure for fear. So feel grateful. Go into self like, I am grateful for this body that carries me around all the time. So just be aware of it, acknowledge it, and then we can move on. So the truth is, again, it's perfectly normal to have that. The need to avoid pain and fear is instinctual. It's in us. It's a survival mechanism. And courage isn't a survival mechanism. Survival is run and hide from the saber-toothed tiger that's chasing us, right? So we just acknowledge this is business, and if you're afraid of failing and being perfect, well, you need to throw that out because you'll never be perfect ever. And if you can start to embrace failures as, hey, there's one way that didn't work, you'll start to take more action. And the truth is, those fears are artificial because you're not in danger. You're not in danger. And those things in front of you that feel like a mountain, like you're thinking about taking that new action and you're just like, it feels like this Mount Everest is in front of you. And that's what it feels like in your body. The reality is it's a small speed bump as you step outside your comfort zone. So when you start to face that fear that comes up, see past it. It's like, okay, there's a artificial or real Mount Everest in front of me as I try to step outside this comfort zone. But what happens when I get on the other side of it? Well, if I'm on the other side of it, oh my goodness, that thing would be gone forever in my life. And look at all the massive benefits that will come from that. And then look at what is in my life right now that is not the way I want it to because I've let this fear take hold of me. So really, it just takes courage. Be certain that I'm going to move forward. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to battle it. I'm going to go. So let's take a minute and talk about failure. So, because I know a lot of people are fear of failure, and then some people also have fear of success too. So acknowledging that they're there is good. But if we talk about failure, what is the difference between success and failure? Does anybody have an idea what the difference between success and failure is?
Well, Jason, I would say one of the things that I try to do more and more is to look at failure as a perfect opportunity to learn how to succeed.
Yeah. That's great. What about you, Janet? What do you think the difference between success and failure is? Anyone answer, Jenna? Success and failure? Oh, I don't hear you.
I didn't know who you said.
I said Jenna, sorry.
I'm sorry. I would say something similar to what he said. I mean, you really can't, I don't feel like you can achieve success without having first failed. So it's kind of not really comparing. It's like a stepping stool to get to success.
Okay. Good, good. Now, here's another, I'm going to give you a definition of the difference between those. So if we look at the difference between them, which I'm going to call the reality, is the only difference between success and failure is a label that we give it. Because they're results, right? It's result A or result B. And the label that you give it determines the emotion that you're feeling. Oh, I failed because I didn't do this. Oh, I was successful because I did this. Wow, and that difference is awesome. So acknowledging that it's a label, up with a belief that, what is your definition of failure really? So for me, the definition is, the only way I can fail is if I give up. Or the only way I can fail is if I don't learn something. So, think about the labeling of that and come up with a definition for failure. What has to happen for failure? For me to fail, I have to give up completely. And that way, when you start to take new action and you're fearing doing it wrong, whether you get it what you think is right or not the first time doesn't matter, because you will correct it after you make the decision. You make a decision, take action. If it's not the result that you want, you just change that. So, well, here's a question for you. How many attempts did Thomas Edison have before he made the light bulb? Does anybody know the answer to that?
10,000.
10,000. 10,000, that's right. And did he have 9,909 years? Or did he have 9,999 ways to not make a light bulb? Right? And then How many banks was Walt Disney turned down by before he was funded to move forward with the Disneyland and theme park? I think it was 93 banks. Can you imagine getting like 75 no's? Where do you find 75 banks in the first place back then? When that, I don't know, I think it was in the 50s. I don't remember when exactly it was. But it was like, no, okay, well, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. So he knew what his outcome was, and he kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going. And he found one person that didn't work, one person that didn't work, one person, okay, well, I'm going to find the one person that does. So you just keep going. So now for a second, let's just imagine, and the intent of here is to kind of shake you up with a little bit of fear because, or a little bit of pain, because pain can also be a good driver for us too. So if you didn't take any different actions for the next 20 years, would you be at the mercy of the economy? If you stayed on the same path and didn't grow differently, what kind of results would you have? And where would your life be? Would you have a job? Would you be unemployed? Where would you be in 20 years? Now, let's do the opposite. Let's imagine today is the first day of the rest of your life, and you just made a decision to say, I'm going to play full out. You know, and I don't know if I can play out 100% of the time, so I'm going to say, let's say I play full out 80% of the time. And imagine everything changed today. And imagine really that one thing that you've always wanted in life or to do with your family that you could never afford because it was so expensive. What would happen if you could afford that? So here's another question. What would you try if you had no fear? What would it be like then? What would you try? Anybody got some answers? If you were like a Vulcan, could not feel emotional fear, what would you do differently? Benjamin, what would you do differently?
I think if I had more fear, I would I would really go after my dreams without any hesitation. I think that, you know, I can see action steps to move forward, but there's always a little bit of fear that holds me back from really hitting it hard and really being confident and courageous about what I'm doing. So I think that it would just change the speed at which I can run forward if I really had no fear.
Yeah. Good. Anybody else? What'd you do? What'd you do different? Would you have more fun? Would you be more playful? Would you be more passionate? Would you do some skydiving? I don't know about base jumping. That's a little dangerous, but, you know. Because you can. It's a perspective, right? What if you woke up every day and for 5 minutes you're like, I'm fearless, I'm fearless, I'm fearless, I'm fearless. And as we go through this course and I ask you to do these repetitive things throughout the day that seem silly and jump up and down and scream and get excited, that's how you start to shift your subconscious, is with repetition and loud physical body movement. So when we start to do that, that's the process there. So imagine you were fearless, and what would you do differently? What would you try? What results would you get? What would your life be like for you? And what would life be like for the ones who you love most in your life? It's like, wow, I could get a nanny. My wife could get some help. We could get a house cleaner. We could travel some more, do some more fun stuff. We could, you know, how would I feel about myself? Oh, my God, feel awesome. Feel awesome. So we got some exercises here. Any questions before we wrap up here so far on this content? Okay. So I want everybody to do here. So what are 3 areas in your life that you've been settling? And I can send these questions out afterwards too. So what are 3 areas in your life that you've been settling? And then what are the reasons or the stories you've adopted to allow yourself to play at that level? Is it because I don't have the time? Is it because I failed in the past? Is it because I tried it before it didn't work? Figure out what those stories are, because those are the things that are holding you back. And think about those stories and say, is that story true? Is it true? Or is this a memory from my past that I'm attaching emotion to because I'm still viewing it from an old perspective. So think about those reasons. And then ask yourself, are you able to change it now and take that different action and no longer settle? And then write down why you're committing it right now. I'm committed to changing it right now because I know it will change my life for the better. It will make a difference here. It will move forward. Boom, 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 boom. It will make a massive difference in my life, in my children's life, my work, people around me. I'll be able to do the job that I love. Really write down that why there, because that will help you move past that. Okay? So that was the last slide I had here today. Any questions at all, everybody? Comments, feedback, excitement? Yeah. Was this helpful?
I would definitely say so. Sorry, yeah. I think it's been really good, and as you know, Jason, some of this stuff is somewhat familiar to me, but the way you've run through it, it's motivating, and it's good to hear your examples of how you implement this in your life to serve as an inspiration for us as well. So I think, yeah, I'm excited to get going on the exercises. Thank you.
Good, good, good. Any other feedback? You guys all happy? Okay. All right, everybody. This recording will be available probably tomorrow. Next week, we're going to get started on the course on the week 1. It's going to be exciting. The noon sessions, I will be in a live classroom. It will be on web conference at the same time. That will be recorded. The 6 p.m. Pacific time is a web conference only, too. So both recordings will be available to you there. And I'll send out these questions a little bit. Thank you so much for joining. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. And have a great day. Go for it. Play big.